Hi, I'm Wanda Sykes, and this is how it got better. I grew up in Portsmouth, Virginia. We basically lived in the woods. My dad, he's a retired colonel in the Army. Our house had more formalities than most families, I think, in the neighborhood at that time. Like in the car, you turn the radio on, okay, to a certain level, yeah, but don't dance in the car. People see white people, they see you dancing in the car and they're gonna talk about you. So don't give people a reason to say anything negative about you or to come up with some, generalization about you. I moved to Maryland when I was in the third or fourth grade, and that's when we were in technically a suburb. It was only one other black family on the street, so that was different. And there was a lot of bad stuff going on. We would get to drive by N-words, stuff like that. There was one family that lived maybe like two homes down from us, and his parents were like, no black people allowed in our yard. But as awful as it was and as it sounds, there was so many good people around who, well, come on, you can play in my yard, or we don't need to play with him anyway. It was like so when you have support of others and friends, that's what helps get to get over those things. We watched a lot of comedy in the home, so that's what I would gravitate towards. The one standout was Jackie Moms Mabley, African American female stand-up comic. The things that she would say is just so edgy. She talked about race, a lot of social material. I think it was just sitting around the TV with the family and just being able to laugh. I knew back in like the third or fourth grade that I was interested in women. It was these two sisters, and my brother was, trying to date one of them. And so I was walking around with the other one, and I said something to her about, I wish I was a guy because I would make you my girlfriend. And she was like, no, you're a girl, you like boys. And I was like, okay, girl, boy, okay, I got it. Just the look that she gave me, I was like, ooh, that was a bad thing I said I was way off, So I kind of like fooled around, with a couple of girls at church. That was about it. Just like, just kissing, whatever. It was more like, oh, this means nothing. Just kind of playing around. I got out of college and I was working for the government for NSA, and I just wasn't happy. I was miserable. Radio show was having a talent contest, and I said, I'm gonna sit down and write some jokes and go try out for this thing. Everything just made sense after that. Like, oh, okay, yeah. That feeling of making people laugh, of just saying something and having people feel good. That was just like such a high. The lifestyle of it, not so much, especially being a woman. A lot of clubs were like, hey, we already have one of your kind. Like they thought that female comics would just get up and all talk about the same thing. Male comics, they all get up and talk about their dicks. So come on, no one's gonna run out of here screaming, there was two females on the show. You tricked us. It's okay. After I saw what Ellen went through, yeah, I think that made everyone like, oh, ooh, let me close, put an extra lock on this door. I'm just remembering conversations. What do you mean, yep, I'm gay? What's she celebrating that for? And why is she on the cover of a magazine? It was awful. But, she went through that, and look at her now, and what she did definitely helped me to come out. Not just coming out, but just coming to grips with it myself that, oh wow, I'm a lesbian. That was incredibly hard. This was in, just total opposite of what I'm supposed to be doing and who I'm supposed to be. and also, and especially like my family, because I knew that, ooh, this is gonna be it with them, and it pretty much, for a while, it was, and the things that some of them said is just like, okay, and these are the people who's supposed to love you unconditionally, yeah. So that was hard, and again, same thing like back in when I was a kid, it's that helped me get through that. It's having good people around you who fill in for those people. There's people who you don't even know or haven't even met yet, but we care, and there's people, out there who will love you and fill in those holes, where you don't have where maybe your family has disowned you. You'll have another family, and they will, help you get through it. It's important for us to tell our stories and to be so vocal, because this is how we affect the community. I say whatever I want to say now. It's I'm not hiding anything. It's freedom. When I was working on the Chris Rock show, he said, all funny female comics are lesbians. You know that, right? And this is before I was out. This was while I was still married. And I looked at him. I was like, "Hey," and he was like, "Oh, except for you. Except for you. You're funny, but he said, who knows? We'll see." And I was like, "Damn it, he's right."